The shooting range was unusually quiet that day, except for the sharp cracks of gunfire echoing in the distance. People gathered in small groups, chatting, laughing, and competing, but one figure stood apart. She was a woman who barely said a word, standing in the corner with her hands folded, almost blending into the background. No one paid her much attention. In fact, most assumed she was just there to watch. She had no flashy gear, no loud presence, no sign of nerves or excitement. She was simply quiet. As the competition heated up, the regular champions took their turns, showing off their accuracy and skill. These were the names everyone knew at the range, the ones who had won medals, broken records, and carried themselves with confidence. Each shot was followed by polite applause, respectful nods, and small murmurs of admiration. But the woman in the corner stayed unnoticed, her eyes calm, observing everything. Then came the moment that would change everything. Her name was unexpectedly called. Some people turned their heads, puzzled. A few even whispered, wondering if it was a mistake. But she stepped forward without hesitation, picking up the rifle with a steady grip that hinted at hidden experience. The crowd quieted down, curiosity sparking in the air. Could this silent woman even fire a shot, let alone hit the target? She took her stance, shoulders squared but relaxed, breathing slow and even. The champion's record still stood untouched that day, and many were eager to see if anyone could come close. Nobody imagined she would be the one to try. The silence grew heavier as she raised the rifle, her finger brushing the trigger. Time seemed to slow, every eye fixed on her, and then one shot. Just one. The sound rang out sharp and clean, echoing across the range. For a moment, no one moved, no one breathed. When the scoreboard lit up, gasps filled the air. It wasn't just a good shot. It wasn't even perfect. It was record-breaking. With her very first attempt, the quiet woman had shattered the champion's score, leaving the entire crowd stunned into silence. But who was she really? Where had she come from, and how could a first-timer achieve the impossible in one single shot? That answer was still a mystery. Whispers swept through the range like wildfire. Some people leaned forward in disbelief, while others shook their heads, certain there had to be a mistake with the scoreboard. The reigning champion himself frowned, staring at the screen as if trying to make sense of what had just happened. No one could accept that a woman who had barely spoken a word, someone they hadn't even noticed before, had just broken the record that many had tried and failed to touch. She lowered the rifle slowly, her expression unchanged. There was no triumphant smile, no dramatic reaction, just the same calm look that had been on her face since she arrived. That, more than anything, unsettled the crowd. People wanted to see emotion, pride, excitement, even shock, but instead they were met with quiet composure. As though hitting a world-class score was the most ordinary thing in the world, questions began to swirl. Was she a professional shooter hiding her true identity? Did she have a secret past in competitions? Or was this some kind of rare, natural talent that no one had ever seen before? The organizers checked the records, but her name wasn't listed in any previous events. She was, at least on paper, a complete newcomer. The champion, who had been so confident minutes earlier, now seemed restless. He walked over, studying her with sharp eyes, as though trying to read the answer written somewhere on her face. The other competitors watched too, torn between admiration and suspicion. It wasn't just the score that unsettled them, it was the way she carried herself. Like someone who knew far more than she was willing to admit. And yet, she stayed silent, offering no explanation. The mystery only deepened, leaving everyone hungry to know the truth. The silence after her shot lingered longer than anyone expected. People exchanged glances, trying to piece together who this woman really was. A few of the older regulars at the shooting range whispered among themselves, claiming they had never seen her before. Others speculated she must have been training somewhere in secret, but no one could agree. And that made her presence all the more puzzling. She stood quietly near the target board now, waiting for the officials to confirm what everyone had already seen on the scoreboard. The staff double-checked the system, but the result remained the same. Her first shot had not just matched the record, it had surpassed it. Still, she showed no sign of surprise, almost as if she had expected this outcome all along. That calm confidence stirred even more questions in the crowd. Some of the competitors tried to start small talk, testing her with casual remarks. "Great shot," one of them said, waiting for her to open up. But she only offered a polite nod. Another asked if it was her first time competing, but she didn't answer directly, brushing it off with a faint smile that revealed nothing. The more she avoided giving details, the more curious everyone became. Meanwhile, the champion couldn't take his eyes off her. He wasn't just surprised, he was unsettled. Records were meant to be challenged, but never in this way, never so effortlessly. His pride was on the line, and something about the way she held herself made it clear this was not a lucky moment. It was skill, real skill, and that thought unsettled him more than the broken record itself. Yet she remained unreadable, her silence holding the crowd in suspense. As if she carried a story no one was ready to hear just yet. The tension was unbearable as both shooters stood ready. But just before the signal was given, something unexpected happened. One of the officials stepped forward, holding a folder in his hand, his expression tight with unease. He had been checking through the registrations again, looking for anything that might explain the mysterious woman's sudden appearance. What he discovered left him visibly shaken. The folder contained no record of her signing up for the event at all. On paper, she wasn't even supposed to be standing there. The announcement rippled through the crowd like a shockwave. Gasps and murmurs filled the air, the suspense thickening with every passing second. How had she entered the competition without a name on the list? Was she planted there? Was this some kind of secret test? The champion's eyes narrowed, his grip tightening on his weapon, as if the situation had shifted from rivalry to something far more personal. The woman, however, remained completely calm, her face revealing nothing. She didn't argue, didn't defend herself, and didn't even flinch at the revelation. That composure only deepened the mystery. Who could fire a record-breaking shot, step into a competition without official entry, and still stand so firmly under the weight of suspicion? Some in the audience began to question whether this was fair, demanding answers, while others leaned in closer, more intrigued than ever. The stakes were no longer just about winning or losing at the shooting range. Now it was about identity, trust, and uncovering the truth behind this stranger who had already shaken the foundation of the competition. The champion finally broke the silence, his voice sharp. If she's not even on the list, then who is she really? The question hung in the air, heavier than the sound of any gunshot, leaving the crowd breathless as the story hurtled toward its breaking point. The air inside the shooting range felt heavy. Every eye locked on the woman who had shaken the competition to its core. The official repeated the discovery her name wasn't on the list. The tension threatened to boil over, but instead of stepping back, she quietly moved forward, her voice calm for the first time since she had arrived. She explained that she had not come to compete but had been invited privately by the range's owner, a man who rarely appeared in public. At that moment, the owner himself stepped out from the shadows at the back of the hall, confirming her words. The crowd turned in shock. The owner explained that he had been searching for someone capable of breaking the champion's long-standing record. He had heard rumors of her skill from years ago, though she had never once entered an official competition. This, he revealed, was her true test, a chance to prove herself in front of those who believed skill could only belong to the names already etched into the record books. The champion, face tense with pride and disbelief, demanded the test continue. the signal was given, and both he and the mysterious woman raised their rifles. The shots rang out one after the other, each one sharp and clean. The crowd rushed toward the scoreboard, hearts pounding. The champion's performance was near perfect, but hers was flawless. She had done it again, not once, but twice, sealing her place above him. Gasps filled the room, but before anyone could speak, the owner revealed the final twist. She was not a newcomer at all. Years ago, she had been a rising star in the sport, but had disappeared without explanation. Now she had returned, not for fame, but to prove to herself that she had never truly lost her edge. The crowd erupted, torn between awe and disbelief. The champion stood silent, defeated not just by her skill, but by the truth of who she really was. And as she placed the rifle down once more, her calm smile left everyone wondering if this was her return. What would she do next? The range slowly came back to life as people processed what they had just witnessed. Some clapped, some whispered in amazement, while others stood frozen, still unable to believe the quiet woman had rewritten the history of their sport. The champion, though defeated, managed a respectful nod before leaving the stage, his pride wounded.